Coming up on DC News Now, chilly air taking over the DMV. Meteorologist Damon Matson has your full forecast.
I think we should take over Washington, D.C., make it safe.
A fight over D.C.'s home rule. I'll tell you what leaders have to say.
Plus, an increase in demand for food and other services following federal layoffs. A look at the impact to nonprofits in our area. Then we're introducing your kids to the wonder of arts, how you can flex their creative muscles through play and performing. And get an inside look at the newly opened Go-Go Museum in the district. Celebrate history and culture with us.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. It's starting to clear up outside. The sun is shining just a bit. Meteorologist David Matson joined us now with the latest check on the forecast. Damon, it's still cold outside.
It sure is, Mark. But hey, at the very least, that little bit of snow we were keeping our eye on for this morning into the early afternoon, it's done. And we have no threat of any additional snow here as we go throughout the rest of the day. The only exception to that is going to be out across Garrett County in the mountains there, where a winter weather advisory does stay in place until tomorrow morning. Out across the mountains, there is going to be some upslope snow shower activity coming up and over that highest terrain, because we're going to start to see some winds picking up here in due time. But again, the snowfall, we had a few flakes just a little while ago near the district, the I-95 corridor, but that second wave, it just fell apart as it ran into a lot of dry air moving off to the east. And really, at the end of this entire event, if you will, the little bit of snow we had yesterday plus the little bit of snow this morning, most locations across the DMV did not even end up with an inch. Some got up to 2 inches tops. That was it, and we did avoid the brunt of this latest storm system. But now as we go throughout the rest of your day, there will be some sunshine, but it's only going to slowly clear out as some very strong northerly winds kick up, which will keep temperatures quite cold. We're only going to move up to around 30 degrees, and with that wind howling, there's going to be a wind chill factor that we're going to have to deal with heading into the night as well. So we'll talk about how cold it's going to get over the next 12 hours and when we could break out of this cold snap. That's all coming up in your full forecast here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. As the fight over D.C.'s home rule heats up in Congress, President Trump proposing a solution of his own, a complete federal takeover of the district. DC News Now's Yamari Sasay has the latest on local leaders' reaction.
Yeah, Mayor Bowser definitely has some pushback. Now, she hasn't directly responded to the president's comments, but she did post on X last night, Washington, D.C. is a world-class city, and actually listed D.C.'s government accomplishments. And as for the president, take a listen to what he had to say.
I think that we should govern District of Columbia. I think that we should run it strong, run it with law and order, make it absolutely flawlessly beautiful. They're not doing the job. Too much crime, too much graffiti. Too many tents on the lawns. There's magnificent lawns and there's tents. And, saying it's a sad thing.
Now, President Donald Trump's statement comes after 2 Republican congressmen reintroduced the legislation to revoke D.C. from governing itself and instead allow the federal government to govern the city. Now, D.C. leaders say that could impact a lot of programs in the district. According to the Washington Post, Trump is actually looking to issue an executive order that would increase penalties and enforcement of violent petty crimes, clear homeless camps, and clean out the graffiti in the district. Now, Trump made similar comments while on the campaign trail last year, claiming he wanted to renovate and rebuild the district during a then potential second term. Again, Mayor Bowser not directly responding to the president's comment. She did post a list of D.C. accomplishments, which definitely included district's national park rankings, violent crime going down in 2024, and also metro ridership, among others. Reporting in Northwest D.C., I'm Yamari Sasay, DC News Now.
All right, thanks to Yamari. Well, federal workers rallied against DOGE cutting the federal workforce in Northwest. They protested outside of Elon Musk's SpaceX office last night. Many who were laid off were employees in a probationary period with 2 years or less on the job. One protester who works for the Labor Department tells us that federal workers are needed to help the American public and that there will be more problems without them.
Without civil servants, without people who are standing in place to protect people, I don't think people realize how much we do for them. We're not going to be able to enforce things like child labor laws.
Well, the Associated Press says the National Capital Region is home to about 20% of the 2.4 million members of the civilian workforce, federal workforce, and that's including military personnel and postal workers. Well, look at the numbers so far. The Associated Press says more than 1,000 workers in the Department of Veterans Affairs have been laid off. 39 people from the Education Department were also let go, and the National Park Service fired about 1,000 newly hired employees, and the CDC lost about 700 probationary employees. Thousands of IRS workers are set to be fired today. That's according to the report by the Associated Press. About 7,000 workers could be let go, and that could strain the agency's resources in the middle of tax filing season. According to the report, the workers being laid off are probationary, and they have typically been at the Internal Revenue Service for less than 2 years. The IRS has about 90,000 employees. And the district nonprofits are seeing a huge drop in donations as more federal employees are laid off. At the same time, lots of unemployed workers are now turning to them for help. That means demand has jumped over supply. DC News Now's Mariel Carbone found out that some organizations are trying to support so many now unexpectedly in need.
Area nonprofits here like Bread for the City say they have been preparing for an increase in need for months now, really since the president started making promises on the campaign trail to shrink the federal government. Now that that's actually happening, they're expecting to see the need continue to grow. Hey, hey, ho, ho. As mass layoffs of federal workers continue in the district, the impacts are far-reaching.
We fully expect to see a rise in need.
Ashley Dahm is with Bread for the City, which provides clothing, food, medical care, and more to people in need. Right now,
there's a lot of worry, a lot of fear. We're already getting calls about our criteria.
Dahm says she expects those calls to continue.
We look at unemployment rates in the city, and we know that those are going up week after week, every week since this reduction in the federal workforce has been taking place.
According to data from the Labor Department, 1,780 people in the district filed an initial claim for unemployment during the first week of February, a roughly 35% increase from the week before. Meanwhile, at Miriam's Kitchen,
the period of October through December, we saw a $400,000 decrease in monies contributed by individuals.
CEO Scott Schenkelberg says the decrease in donations has been steady over the last 2 years, potentially due to inflation. But given the current uncertainty among federal workers,
and in this moment, when there's been such substantial job loss, I really do wonder if people have the disposable income to be able to continue to support organizations like Miriam's Kitchen.
He says donations are critical for the nonprofit's meals and housing programs. He's urging anyone who can help to help. And these nonprofits say they're not just watching the layoffs of federal workers, they're also keeping an eye on federal funding freezes, potential government shutdown, executive orders, and more to see how those could impact the need moving forward. Reporting in Northwest, I'm Mariel Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Mariel, thank you. Meanwhile, in the district, the former deputy director of the neighborhood safety program known as ONES is charged with bribery. Daniel McDaniel helped manage the violence intervention programs in the district. It's in the criminal complaint. It says that she accepted $10,000 in cash in exchange for using her position to direct contracts and grants to a Maryland business owner who runs community-based programs for high-risk teens. Former D.C. Councilmember Trayon White is also accused of taking a bribe to influence the violence interrupter programs. And new today, police are searching for a 15 and 16-year-old girl believed to be behind the shooting of a 17-year-old girl late last night. Police responded to 2000 block of Benning Road Northeast, D.C. for a report of a shooting. Police found the 17-year-old girl unconscious and breathing, but suffering from gunshot wounds. They said that she was injured after a verbal argument. She was taken to the hospital. No word on her current condition. Police say that they should be on the lookout for a 15 and 16-year-old African-American girl wearing a black moose knuckle jacket and white sweatpants. Also developing now in Prince George's County, police are investigating the deadly shooting in Temple Hills. It happened last night on Keating Street. There, they found a man suffering from gunshot wounds. The man was rushed to the hospital where he later died. Police have not identified the man. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to contact police. And in Prince George's County, a bill to change hiring policies for first responders. Right now, police, fire and EMS departments are not allowed to ask candidates about marijuana use. The new bill would prevent these departments from disqualifying candidates if they test positive for using marijuana. This comes as police and fire departments struggling to fill open positions. And a heads up for folks in Northern Virginia. There's a job fair happening in Loudoun County. It'll be at the Dulles South Recreation and Community Center on March 18th. It goes from the 10th until the 10 until 1, pardon me, and it's free, but you're encouraged to register in advance. Well, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown joining other states' attorneys general looking to protect consumers from counterfeit weight loss and diabetes drugs. These bad actors are selling drugs that mimic popular products like Ozempic and Wegovy. Brown said online retailers that sell counterfeit unregulated medications endanger their patients' lives and health. The letter asked the FDA to stop the bad conduct and deceptive practices and to increase oversight of state pharmacy boards. And coming up on DC News now at noon, where you can let your kids play while showing them songs, dances, and live performances. We're going to introduce you to your little ones to the arts and theater, but first, here's my friend Damon Matson.
My friend Mark. Hey, we got some gusty winds coming in, folks. We'll let you know how strong those will be and how cold the wind chill could get as a result coming up here in just a bit.